So what if I told you you could make $8,000 in an hour? $500 an hour equivalent is $1 million business. $8,000 an hour is equivalent, I did the math before, it's like 16 million and change. So if you could do an activity in your business, in your chiropractic practice, that would make you $16 million a year, you're probably going to listen, yes? So what I'm gonna share with you today is the formula specifically that I've used in my practice, that I teach all my mastermind members to use. I'm gonna give it to you for free on the podcast so that you can take it and implement it into your business. Now, the problem that you're going to have is when I tell you what the strategy is, you're not going to wanna do it because it's not sexy and quite frankly, it's scary. What is it? It's workshops. It's getting out into your community and speaking to the people in your community to help them understand why they need to come to your office and become your patient. And the formula that I'm going to share with you today is going to be how to do it in a way that's going to be most efficient, most effective, and going to make you the most profit in your business. Before I do that, let me give you some background on my own. I started doing workshops as soon as I opened in 2015. The advice that I was given when I started my practice was I should do a workshop and get in front of as many people as I could, because speaking in front of the community was the best way to get my name out there and get people into my business. So I did this for years, literally 3 or 4 years. And the problem I faced was that I did a lot of work, but I didn't get a lot of results from it. And what I thought at the time was that this is good because I'm building my brand. Now, branding isn't a bad thing, but at the time I mistaked having an effective speaking script and running an effective workshop for brand. So I would run these workshops, I would go to a gym, I would go to anywhere I could speak, and I'd get in front of an audience, and I'd finish the workshop and people would ask me, how did it go, Justin? And I would say, it was great, I did great, everyone loved it, they told me how much they appreciated it. And then people would ask me the terrible question of, oh, did you get any patients from it? And I would stutter and I would, no, but it was good, maybe one day, and I didn't get any business from it. And so the problem I faced was that I didn't understand what I was doing, and that's the thing that I want to solve for you today. Let me be clear. If you are spending the time and effort to go and meet and put workshops on and market it and get in front of people, if it is effective, if you have the right audience and the right message and the right call to action, all the things I'm going to speak about next, if that is correct, you should 1,000% be getting new patients and new business from it. And so if you understand exactly how you're going to do it and what's going to be important with it, then we can absolutely give you the steps necessary to make sure it's effective and efficient so that you can get the business that you want. If you're listening to this podcast, most likely you are a Rehab Chiro or you treat active adults and athletes. So the first question people ask is, where should I go put on a workshop? How do I find places to put on a workshop? You are going to go figure out places to go speak where your perfect patient is. Where are they? Most likely they're going to be in gyms, they're going to be in CrossFit studios, they're going to be in yoga studios, Pilates, and all of the things like that. But let me give you the reason why. If you think about where your perfect patient is, they have to display behaviors that are going to be positive in the effect that they're going to become your patient. So what does that mean? If someone belongs to a CrossFit gym, what we know is that, number one, they're invested in their health. They are obviously taking and making a decision that they are going to actively spend time and money to go and pay to invest in their health. And then number two, and most importantly, is that they are saying that they are willing to invest their money to solve a problem over and above what they could spend elsewhere. Someone could invest in their health with time and go out for a run, or they could go to a global gym and pay like $10 a month or something really small. But at a CrossFit gym, they have said they're going to pay exponentially higher fee in order to solve their health problem, which is good for us as Rehab Chiros, who typically charge more money and we ask for more commitment from our patients. And so that's the reason why people like at a yoga studio or a CrossFit gym or a small group training gym, because they are already showing positive money behaviors. Now, the next step of that, of why putting workshops so effective, number one, they have positive money spending behaviors. But number two, if you put on a back pain workshop at a local CrossFit gym and invite 10 people to attend, the people that show up to that workshop are literally raising their hand to tell you that, hey, I have this problem. I've either had back pain in the past, I currently have back pain, I've had back pain that has come and gone and not been solved, but I have an interest in getting this specific problem solved. So with all that as the background, we're saying, hey, I'm going to go to a CrossFit gym and I'm gonna put on a back pain seminar. Now, before you show up to the seminar, what do you need to do? You could have the best speaking script. You can literally take notes as I'm recording this podcast. You can do everything I tell you to do, the right calls to action. But the number one problem you will face is if you don't have butts in seats. If you do not have people attend your workshop, the rest of it is completely irrelevant. So how do you do that? Once you establish a relationship and have trust in a gym, the first thing you need to do is figure out your marketing plan to get people to show up. How are they going to show up? You're going to market to them. And so typically we do this in stages from least invasive to most invasive. If you need 10 people to show up to your workshop, step one is we want to go to that gym owner or Pilates studio owner and get their email list. And we want to send out specific content of why it is in the best interest of the people in their gym to come. So if we send out an email, it's, hey, if you're having back pain, if you're struggling with back squats, if you can't deadlift without pain, if you've had back pain that has come and gone forever, you're speaking to this patient's pain points that are there, please come and attend my workshop. I'm going to give you the 3 biggest tips that I've used to help solve back pain of hundreds of people just like you in our community. So you're going to get their email list, number one. Number two, you're going to ask to collaborate on social media with the gym owner. If you can post up value-based posts for these gym owners and for the people in the community, they're more likely to help you fill the gym, number one, fill the seminar, and they're more likely to attend the workshop. The line that I love here is if you help people solve the small problem, eventually they're gonna hire you to solve the big problem. So step one is we've got to get people to show up. I don't think that when you run a seminar, you should ever have it with more than 10 to 12 people. The reason is because one of the values of hosting these seminars is the personalized attention that you can give. And if it's just you showing up at a gym, and there's more than that 10 to 12 people, you're not gonna have enough bandwidth to get individualized attention to each person. Now, here's a bonus tip that I wanna share with you. If you get people to sign up for your seminar, the best thing that you can do is send them a survey asking them specific questions like, how long have you suffered from back pain? Have you tried anything else? What are you limited in the gym by doing? And when you get that information, you're going to be able to, number one, craft your content around that at the seminar. A little bit of personalization is going to go a long way in that seminar. So we've set the seminar up. We've got 10 to 12 people to attend. Now, the reason why you're all here, what the heck do we actually do at the seminar? This is the most important thing. You have to understand that you are not there to solve their back pain. If you go into a seminar and think that here are 3 exercises, they're absolutely going to solve the back pain you came in with, you're wrong. You're 1,000% wrong. Here's the trick. You are not there to solve their problem. You are there to tell them why their problem exists. If you can help them understand the why behind their problem, it's going to solve so much more for them and give them enough trust in you so that they can go and ask you to actually solve the problem that they have. And so when you go into the seminar, what I would say is something along the lines of, hey, if you are here because you have back pain, the number one reason why people's back pain stays around for a while is because they don't know why it exists in the first place. And so what we're going to talk about today, the exercise we're going to show you, my number one goal is to help you understand why you still have back pain, why it hasn't gone away, and why the other treatments in the past have not helped you. What I've done there is help them understand exactly why they're there and the problem that I'm trying to solve, which is not to get them out of back pain, but to let them know why it exists. And so if you can take that during your intro and set them up, you've got a really good chance for success. The next thing that you want to accomplish during your introduction of a workshop is help them understand why the other option they've tried hadn't worked. So on average, most people have tried Advil, they've tried stretching, they might have tried physical therapy, they've tried other treatment options, they might have tried surgery, and none of those options have worked for them. What you want to help them understand is why that's normal. Again, what you're doing during this introduction of your seminar is you're helping them to understand that you understand them, that they aren't normal. Because if you think about it, most people showing up, they think, number one, nobody has a problem like me. Number two, it hasn't been solved already. No one's going to be able to solve it. Number three, my situation is different. And if you can help them to understand that you have seen all of it and you've been there and you can kind of knock through all those reasons why they might say no subliminally, you've got a chance to help work them through the seminar. I hope you understand that I'm spending a lot of time on the highest level principles of the theory of all this and in the introduction, because all of you guys want to know, Justin, what exercises should I do? Should I do a hip stretch? Should I do a back stretch? Should I do all that? I can guarantee you that's the least important part here, and that's why I'm spending so much time on all of the other stuff, so that you understand what actually needs to happen to get people to take action of what you really want them to do, which, let's not mistake, it's to get them to become a private patient in our office. And there's one line that when I added this to my seminars, it was an absolute game changer. You say to them, listen, there's a dozen people in this seminar. Once we do the exercises, which we're going to start in a second, 75% of you are going to get exactly what you need from those exercises. But there are going to be 25% of you who do the exercises and just want more help. And if that's you, please come speak to me after class. I want to give a shout out. My friend Carrie Jose, who is a coach in our mastermind, she is the one who gave me that line. I'm telling you, if you take nothing else from this podcast, put that line into your seminars. Because what it does is it helps people in that seminar understand that they will self-select to think that they need more help. And what it does for all of them is help them understand that what you're about to give them, the exercises that they showed up for to solve their problem, it will help some of them, but there are going to be a few of them, 25%, 30% of them that say, hey, this was good. If this was good, what else do you got for me? Now, we're gonna go into the actual content of the seminar. I'm gonna give you 3 exercises. They're not gonna blow your socks off. The thing that you need to understand is what messaging goes with each exercises. Now, the first exercise we're going to do is what I call 90-90 hips. So 90-90 hip, the only reason we're showing 90-90 hip is not for them to loosen up their hip joints. It is to show them that they have an asymmetry in motion. And so for you guys out there, the way I explain it is, hey, for you guys out there, we're going to show you a hip exercise, a hip stretch. And what I want you to understand and what you want you to feel is when we go on one side, how does it feel? Take a mental picture, framework, snapshot of exactly what that feels like. And then we're going to switch to the other side. And when we switch to the other side, I say, raise your hand if it feels different from side to side. And if you have a group of 12 people, usually 70 or 80% of people, they look and say, wow, this does feel different on each side. The next line that I use is, I say, the number 1 predictor of injury is if you've had an injury in the past. So you guys have all showed up here because you've had back pain, you are more likely to get injured again. The number 2 predictor of injury is asymmetries, meaning if one side feels different than the other. 80% of the people in this room just raised their hand. They said it feels different from side to side. What I've done there is I pre-framed them and seeded the idea of why their injury has come in. Now, remember, when I started this presentation, I told them they are there to help them understand why their injury exists. And what I've just done for them in that moment, subliminally, is I have helped them understand and kept my promise. I said, I'm going to show you why your injury is here. And now I've kept my promise and told them exactly why their injury is still here. This is key. Now, back to the 90-90 hip exercise. Remember, there's 12 people there, 70-80% of them are going to raise their hand and say it feels different from side to side. Now I'm going to connect the dots for them and make it practical. And so if they're in a group training gym, let's just call it a CrossFit gym, you know that they're going to back squat. And if they're going to squat with weight, what we know during a squat is that both sides should look relatively the same. And so what I say to them is, listen, you just told me that one side feels different than the next, and then you're going to go and do exercises like a back squat where you want the left side and right side to be doing the same thing. Can you imagine that adding weight to that, reps to that, being fatigued on top of that is something that could lead to injury? Raise your hand if that makes sense to you. And what I get there is a lot of people raising their hand, nodding their head like, finally someone explained why my back hurts every time I back squat 225. Now I'm in. These people are starting to understand that I get them, and I've just explained to them truly why in their specific situation, as being a CrossFitter, being someone who back squats, someone that can't get out of pain, other doctors didn't understand, that I'm like, this guy actually understands me. So that is 90-90 hip. The least important part is that they're going to get a hip stretch. The most important part is that they understand and feel that difference from side to side, and then you explain to them why that shouldn't be there. So that's exercise number 1. The second exercise is going to be a very basic McKenzie extension. Now, remember, I told you the exercise isn't that important. It's what is said and what is communicated with the exercise. And so the next line that I use is I tell them to lay on their belly, and then I say to them, listen, we're going to do a back stretch right now. I don't tell them we're doing a McKenzie extension. I tell them we're doing a back stretch. When they do the back stretch, what they should feel is a stretch in the muscles. And a stretch in the muscles during a McKenzie back bend should be in their abdominal muscles. What do most people feel? They feel a pinch in their spine and in their back. And what I tell them at that moment is if you do a back bend right now and you feel a pinch in your back or your spine, that is not normal. We don't like pinching in joints. Pinching in joints means there's a tightness, there's a problem, there's something going on. How many of you guys feel a tightness or a pinching in your lower back? Usually on this one, as you guys know, listening to this or watching this, you know that 100% of people are gonna feel a pinch in their back when they do this. Again, what I'm doing over and over, I'm beating them over the head with it to help them understand why their problem exists. In theory, they're gonna leave there and think, oh, my spine is tight. Fine. At least that gives them some version of a why. Remember, confused buyers don't buy. If they can leave there and understand one thing as to like, oh, I found one thing that is actually a problem here, I'm going to be doing really well. We can ask them to do 8 or 10 of those, and then at the end of it, how many of you feel better, which many of them will. We'll help them understand that this problem is solvable. See what I just did there? I gave them hope. So I helped them understand why the problem exists, and I gave them hope that we can solve this problem. So that's exercise number 2. Now, for the third and final exercise, remember 3 at the absolute most, what we're going to do is a dead bug exercise or a basic core strengthening exercise. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get them in a basic on their back 90-90 position where their thighs are at 90 and their shins are at 90 and their arms are up in the air. And then if that's easy, I'll just lift their shoulders off. What we're going to get is a couple different things. Some people, I'm going to say, hey, if any of you guys have back pain with this, well, that's not normal. This is a core exercise, so that's definitely an issue. If anybody's feeling it in their hip flexors, which you'll get a lot, as you guys know, definitely not normal, as their hip flexors are working more than their abs, and helps the patient or the potential patient understand. And the third thing is, if neither of those are a problem, if they start shaking in like 10 seconds, which they all will, now it's like, hey, have you ever heard your core is weak? Well, this is just proving that it isn't as strong as it needs to be. In all situations, we're helping them understand that the logical next step is that they have things that need to be worked on, and the number, really the main takeaway is that this is solvable. So to recap, we got people to show up. We did a beautiful intro. We told them that 75% are going to everything they need with the exercises, 25% will just need more. Then we went into our exercises, which was a 90-90 hip, helps show asymmetry. We did a back extension, which helps show them that pinching in their spine isn't normal. And then the third is a 90-90 on their back dead bug exercise to help show them that their core isn't as strong as it needs to be. Those are the 3 exercises, and that's the exact language and script that I would use to make sure that they understand why the problem exists. Now, as we get into the conclusion, we're probably going into 30-40 minutes at this point. If we extrapolate that out, if we have communication. Now, the most important thing is, how do you close? How do you get people to take the next step? A mentor told me once, if you want someone to buy something, you have to spend time talking about it. And so when I did this early on, I was so concerned about being too salesy when I did this that I just said, hey, and if anyone wants some more information, just talk to me after class, and I just walked off the stage. And that's the worst thing that you can do. But I'd imagine many of you guys listening to this podcast or watching this video are concerned that you don't want to come off as salesy and you just want to deliver value. And so the biggest cure for that is to get permission. If you get permission from the audience to sell to them, they're going to be much more receptive to it. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to help them understand that they are in the right place and that much of this information can help them. And so as we wrap up the third exercise and we move into the conclusion, what I want to do is I want to get permission to be able to go to the next step, and I want to get a little bit audience participation. And so the first thing I will say is, hey, so glad that you guys came today. And before I talk about anything else, I just want to get some more information from all of you. I want to get some feedback as to what you guys have seen, felt, and done here. And so from there, I'm going to ask them a question. I'm going to say, hey, I'm so glad that all of you guys are feeling that. That's everything that we see in our office and so much more. Hey, before I talk about anything else or possible next steps, is it okay with you if I explain how we work in our office? Well, we call that as permission-based. I am asking them if it is okay if I sell to them at that point. And when they raise their hand or when they nod their head yes, now I'm in. I have an opportunity. No one is going to say no. But if you just go in there and just start selling them on the next step or the next opportunity, they're not going to be ready for it. Remember, you want to ask permission. That makes it a lot less salesy, a lot less pushy. When they tell you you can do something, now you're in. Which brings us into the conclusion and the offer. And so if I get permission, what I want to explain to them specifically is the difference between what I did in that seminar and what a discovery visit or an evaluation in my actual practice would be. If you came into this seminar, my number one goal is to teach you guys why you had the problem in the first place. All of you guys have raised your hand and told me that you've got something out of it, and I give you some explanation as to why that's happened. Now, for many of you that have come in here, you got what you needed, but there are a few of you that got these 3 exercises and you've said to me, this is interesting, but there might be something else going on with my body. And it is at that point why we offer them a free discovery visit. During a discovery visit, it's a one-on-one session in my practice that is going to be specific to their needs and wants. In a group setting, obviously, there's 10 or 12 people. I can give broad advice that's going to help a broad audience. But when I get them into my office one-on-one, I can give specific advice for a specific audience based on their specific problem. And if I can help you understand that, then you can go and communicate that and sell that to your audience. And they are going to now logically understand why the first thing was good, the group seminar, and why the next thing, the one-on-one individual session, is even better. And so that's the number one takeaway that I have for all of you to go and deploy tomorrow when you do your next workshop. Now, a couple of points that I want to make. Remember that thing I talked about in the beginning? For 75% of you, this is going to be everything you need. For 25%, you're just going to want more. We're going to review that line. Hey, for many of you that came to our seminar today, for 75%, as I said, you've got everything that you need. But as always, there's 25% of you who are just going to want more specific help, more customization, more getting the root cause. And if that's you, like I said at the beginning, please just come speak to me after class. We have a specific offer and a special offer for you to do a discovery visit in my practice. And a discovery visit is a one-on-one customized session to help you understand the root cause of your specific problem. So I said it in the beginning and then I tied it back at the end, and my offer was specific to that problem. Now, the final thing that I will share with you is we like to have some version of what's called scarcity with our offer. And so for many of you, that means you're going to have to block off your schedule specifically so you can tell the truth. Because if you just say, hey, let me know anytime you want to come, I have 1 million slots open, that's not interesting to people. But if you say, I blocked off 3 slots specifically for people for the seminar to come into my office next week to do your discovery session, now all of a sudden people want what they can't have or that there's limited resources of, and that's how they're going to come and take action on it faster. So if we recap the conclusion, it's you're asking permission or getting permission from the audience. You're reviewing with them the thing you said at the beginning, which was 75% got everything they need, 25% are going to want more. And then you tell them the difference between the group session and the individual session, which is to help them get to the root cause of the problem. And then at the end, you have some sort of scarcity and a deadline on the offer. All of a sudden, we're cooking with gas, baby. You've got a brilliant seminar on the books. If you get 12 people to show up and you follow what I told you here to any level of success, you get 12 people to show up, I can guarantee you 2 will become your patients or clients in your business. If you're charging the right price, let's call it $4K each patient, that's $8,000. If you do this correctly, you would have made $8,000 in 1 hour, which I got it on my screen right here. That's $16 million equivalent per year. So I beg you, I plead with you to take this advice seriously, go deploy it in your office, go deploy it in your practice, and go rinse and repeat this as many times as humanly possible in your community. It's gonna make you very, very wealthy, and you're going to help a lot of people. Hey, and if you enjoyed this episode and want the exact script that I use in my practice, Strive to Move, please go on to Instagram at Justin Raminowitz, DM me the word script, and I'll send it to you there. And for more content like this, hit the subscribe button. We're going to be sharing podcasts like this video form each and every month, so I want to make sure you're notified.